the moment before halftime when Ryan hits the field goal, and also coming off of the kind of the trick play to get a long punt return, just, I guess, you talk about those moments and kind of, what that, how gratifying that is as a coach, I guess, to see the way the team responded to Ryan as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was a critical sequence in the game. We were able to get a stop on third down, have an opportunity to set up the punt return, and then for Ryan to be able to go out and make a big kick in a big moment, at the end of the half, I thought was great for him, and then to see the team's response was really good. There's a lot of guys in that locker room that are pulling for him, that want to see him do well, that empathize with the struggles that he's had, and I think that speaks volumes of what this team is all about. Because this isn't a group that points fingers or lays blame. It's one that comes together, and that's what we hope to continue to have as we move forward through the season.
Court. So John, when you called that fake punt deep in your own territory, with Alex on that play, obviously you didn't call that. That wasn't a call. Did he think he could make it? Was after he got free? Did he think he could make it, and then realize, oh wait, it's 4th and 17 or whatever it was? Like, I guess what did he tell you about after that play? Because it ended up being his best punt of the night if it would have counted if he'd been a yard backwards.
Sure. I think there's probably a little bit of overthinking and maybe over communicating. If you look back at that play, it was the first play of the fourth quarter. So we were able to kind of have that third quarter to fourth quarter transitional time and sequence of a game there. We're up 4, we're backed up. It's 4th and really long. NC State's, their MO is to be aggressive on the pump block unit. So we kind of talked through what the block scenarios were that we would see. And, it ended up being a return setup, but there, just by the way that in which they align, there would be one free guy off the edge that with operation and just scheme, that's going to be how it goes. And I think it spooked him a little bit. I think I wasn't really going to be in position to block the kick, but I do think he felt it, and it spooked him a little bit. So he pulled the ball down. Now his reactions after that was all just kind of instinct, I guess, to take off and run. And then when we talked about it yesterday, he just didn't feel like he could get all the way there. Didn't realize or think that he had crossed the line of scrimmage and went ahead and attempted the punt. Obviously, a critical play in the game. And one certainly that we'd like to have back, but it was one of those things where I think he was trying to operate with the right intentions and just kind of lost track of where he was on the field, but we can certainly learn from.
Brendan?
On the punt return before halftime, so you guys practicing it during the week, was it something, I guess 2-part question, one, was it something that NC State had shown previously that made you guys think that you could set that up, and then 2, just how well executed was that play?
First part, in terms of why, there's certain teams that we may pull that out and think that it would be a good part of the game plan. This particular week, it fit. NC State's a directional punt team, and sometimes they struggle in terms of where the ball placement is. So we thought, because when a ball is kind of all over the place, the ends and the guys running down the cover, the guy that we call the adjuster in the slot, they'll go to the returner. And we thought we would be able to influence their guys because of a little bit of ball placement inconsistency. And in terms of execution, it was phenomenal. A lot of things had to happen correct on that play, and we had to get lucky in some regard. The ball had to be kicked over to the numbers where Pokey was. I mean, that was a big part of it. So the kick placement, set up, the fact that the ball was on the correct hash that we wanted to run it off of. I mean, there's a lot of things that had to kind of fall in line for us to be able to do it. But I thought the guys did a phenomenal job in terms of execution, all the details of it. Things that are going to go unnoticed, just from a TV copy. But Azaria influencing the inside release of the guy that he was blocking. Micah Pittman doing a great job of selling it inside. Sidney Williams, Brendan Gant, Malik McLean, LT, all did a phenomenal job in terms of holding their blocks and making good decisions to not peel back and block somebody behind the play. I mean, all of it kind of fit, and it set up, you know, a score right before half, which was a huge momentum play for us. And it was one of those things that all the preparation, the guys did a great job of executing in terms of the details, because we got the right play in the right situation at the right moment for it to happen.
We'll go to Aslan.
You know, that play set up that field goal that Ryan hit so pure and he has extra points. What do you anticipate will let you guys know that you can resume kind of coaching with the consistent kicker on your guys' toolbox?
Ryan's had, as we've talked about in here before, he's had good weeks of practice. Obviously, leading up into the game, had struggled the previous couple weeks in game scenarios, but we know it's there, and we had seen it. And then for him to be able to go perform, and he looked comfortable in pregame, he looked confident and comfortable throughout the course of the game. It's not been a physical issue with Ryan. I think he just needed to get a little bit of confidence back, and hopefully that game triggered some confidence in him. And each game is its own game, and each week is its own week. But we're going to continue to pour into him moving forward, and continue to coach him. And I think we know what his physical skill set is. We just now got to see it on a consistent level, and I think hopefully Saturday night will lead us in that direction.
It seems like every week I feel the need to ask you about Pat and his development. It seems like he has a feel for the game sometimes, like just the pass breakup and some of the things he does. Is that film preparation, instinctual kind of combination?
Well, he's a hard worker. He does prepare. He was down early in the morning on Saturday morning before breakfast watching film in there by himself. So there's a lot of things that he does in terms of work ethic that prepares him for the moment. But I do think that there are some guys, and it's kind of a hard quality to put your finger on to describe, but do have that playmaking production component to their game. He's a guy that whether you're talking about scrimmages, or whether it was his very first play of the season that he was in this year against Duquesne, he just finds ways to make plays. He's always around the ball, and it's not something that you can necessarily point at one thing and say that's why. He does have a great instinct for the game. He does have football aptitude. He has a good football IQ. He's a smart player. He's a hard worker, and I think it's when you combine those ingredients that you see production. But for him, for example, he played, I want to say 34 plays is what I think that it was, the exact number. And he had production, either a tackle or the pass breakup on 7 of the plays. So, for a defensive lineman to be impactful in 20%, or a little more than 20% of the plays that he's in, that doesn't happen often. So, his production and when he gets on the field, he's taking advantage of every opportunity and every rep, and he's doing a good job.
And he's part of that class where you guys couldn't really be on the road recruiting. Like, has he exceeded what you guys thought, and like, what did you guys think about him during the recruiting process?
Yeah, the 2020, I guess it was the 2021 class in recruiting. That was certainly challenging, right? Because there was a lot of guys, especially for us as a new staff, that we had never seen in person or met in person, that you were really strictly going off of game film, and the game film, even in that case, was limited, especially their senior year, because of all the COVID restrictions and things that were going on. So you really did have to do your homework. You were trying to make your best guided decisions based on people who had seen him or people who knew him, and going off the film work. We knew he was long, we knew he was athletic. Getting to know him over the course of that recruiting stretch, you could tell he was a smart, thoughtful kid in the recruiting process. So a lot of that, none of that has really been surprising, but we certainly feel fortunate that, really for the majority of that class, I would say that guys that have come in without seeing them in person, they've really done a nice job, and Pat's a guy that continues to improve. But one of the things I will say this too about Pat, because I think it's a good lesson for everyone. Last year he redshirted. He didn't waste the redshirt, meaning he knew that there was really no expectation of him ever going in a game. but the way he approached the meeting room and the practice field was as if he was. And, you know, I think it's a good lesson for all players, especially young players in a program, that, you know, when you aren't really in that role of playing, how do you approach your day-to-day? And Pat, I thought, improved through the course of last fall, which set him up to be further ahead in the spring, which has now allowed him to continue to develop, you know, in the first year that he really is out there playing.
Brendan? And with Pat's recruitment, did he commit fairly late in the process? Was it dramatic or anything that was a lot of work at the end of that?
It wasn't dramatic. I think, you know, he was put in a tough situation too. He was committed to another school that, you know, was kind of far from here. And I think he was kind of like, well, shoot, I can't even go visit. Like, you know, I don't know if I want to necessarily go, you know, that far away from home to this place that I haven't visited. So, you know, I think he was very open and excited about the idea of coming to Florida State. And when we felt real comfortable with the offer and how he had progressed his senior year, you know, I think, you know, from his family's perspective and from his perspective, he was excited about the opportunity that we're going to present.
And I know he's not the flashiest guy, but Leonard Warner has been playing consistently, a lot of snaps, and seems like he's been playing well. I guess, what has he given you guys, and just for him to, I guess, be as committed to this program as he's been for this long period of time, for him to be making this impact? How cool is that for you to see as a coach?
Yeah, you know, I've been pleased with Leonard's production and his contribution to not only what he's doing on the field, but what he does off the field. He does have that veteran leadership presence. He is an older guy. He is coming off of a disappointing injury that he had a year ago that held him out. And you know, for him to be able to come back and contribute has been terrific, and I've been proud for him. But also, he's, you know, for you to, when you go through a season, especially up front on the defensive line, you are going to have injuries. You are going to have, you know, guys that need to step up and fill roles. And, you know, his play has increased at a time that we've needed it to. And he brings a toughness, he brings an edge, he brings a dependability to the position that you need. And, you know, I'm happy for him and look forward to his continued development and what he brings to the team. Because I know it's important. He wants to make sure that he leaves Florida State to the best of his ability.
Court, how impactful do you think for guys like Patrick Payton, maybe him especially, to get that redshirt year with getting to watch Jermaine Johnson and Keir Thomas every day in practice, and then how they prepared and how they played in games? How much can that just shape a young man's future, seeing what that looks like so young in their careers?
I think it's critical. You know, I think when you do have veteran guys that have good work ethic, that are obviously talented players, for you to have the opportunity kind of to observe them and see how they go about their day-to-day and take the good things that they do and try to emulate them, and maybe even some of the things that you look at and that you don't like, and say, you know, when I'm in that position, you know, this is how I'm going to do it. I think, you know, anytime you have those role models and leaders in the room, though, it does provide an opportunity for the young guys to learn from. And I thought Jermaine and Keir obviously were super impactful and did great things in this program. And for Pat to have the opportunity to emulate that and to learn from those guys, I think can't be underestimated. I think that was important. And those guys also, let me say this about Jermaine and Keir, they invested back into the young guys. You know, if you watch them at practice, they were trying to leave a mark and you know, kind of leave an impression on Florida State, and they would coach those guys in, you know, in pass rush or you know, in drill work. They would try to help them become better players, which I think says a lot about who they were as well.
What kind of challenges does DJ present in terms of getting after him, but also not letting him make plays with his legs?
Yeah, you know, obviously, you know, a quarterback that has run ability, especially design quarterback run ability, is always challenging because it makes you, you know, that extra hat that you have to account for in the run game is critical. Plus the big physical nature of who he is, you know, I think is a little bit unique, because it's not just perimeter run style plays that you might get from some running quarterbacks. It's you know, there's going to be downhill physical run game with him, and you know, so it does present a different style of challenge, but one that you know, through the course of the week, you know, we'll do a good job of preparing for him.
All right, I have a last question.
Also Shipley is a guy that, you know, obviously he's got speed and a lot of different qualities, but he also has shown ability to, you know, fight for extra yards, and like, does he have a different mentality than maybe some running back?
Yeah, no, I think, you know, I have a very high level of respect for him as a player. You know, he's, as a kick returner, you know, he's one that, you know, I had that circled that, you know, we gotta be on point in everything that we do in terms of our coverage. And then as a running back, you know, I remember a year ago, I really felt like he was the difference in the game, you know, in the second half when they started to get something going a little bit. I thought he was the one that kind of was the catalyst of some of those big plays. And, you know, like I said, I have a high level of respect for him as a player and the way he plays the game. And we certainly are going to have a challenge in the run game, but it's one that I think our guys will be excited about, you know, facing that challenge.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Thanks,
Thank you guys.
Thank you.